The new Quinnipiac University poll, Mitt Romney tops a crowded field. Mitt Romney, these are the possible hopefuls there. He had 19% of the vote. Former Florida Governor Jeb Bush finished second. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie tied for third with conservative activist and neurosurgeon Dr. Ben Carson finishing up the list there with 8% as well. Now, most political experts agree the GOP winner will most likely face off with Hillary Clinton. So let's talk about this. Who possibly on the GOP side is going to end up with the nomination? Let's bring back Lisa Booth and Maria Cardona. Lisa, I want to start with you. Now, you'll remember that Ann Romney said she was done with a presidential bid. It's not going to happen in 2016. Then, on CNN, a few days later, said this.
You never do say never, but you know that's not where we are. We are Mitt's out right now supporting candidates that are running in this 2014 cycle, and you know we're going to stay involved. We are so involved in this. We're so excited about this. I have other things I'm working on that I can't wait to talk about, maybe in a few months. But it's we're concerned and we are still going to be involved, but not in that way.
All right, so it went from done to never say never. Lisa, I mean, you know, it's happened before. Reagan ran in 68 and 76. Of course, he won in 1980. Could the third time be a charm for Mitt Romney? Moods change, people change.
Well, you're absolutely right. And, you know, who knows? Maybe third time's a charm. I know that they've indicated and said publicly, you know, they're not intending to run, but, you know, who knows if that will change. But I think what's interesting with Mitt Romney is, you know, a lot of the things that he said during the 2012 election, you know, even criticized for ended up being true, particularly with foreign policy. You know, he was the one that said that, you know, Russia was one of America's, you know, top geopolitical foes. And it ended up being true. You know, Russia invaded Crimea and there's heightened tensions with Ukraine. And so he was able to have the foresight to see that happening, and something that President Obama was absolutely oblivious to. I think also, you know, after the Netflix documentary, you know, that kind of humanized Mitt Romney and Americans really got to know him better. So maybe third time's the charm. I guess we're just going to have to, you know, wait and see what happens.
Maria, how about it? I mean, although if you look back at the 2012 polls, everybody gets a chance at the top. We've seen that in 2012, everybody literally who was on one of those debate stages was the front runner at some point. Mitt Romney, 2016?
Yeah. You know what? I hope so, because frankly, I think it would be a doomed campaign from the very beginning. And I'm sorry, Lisa, but you know, Russia is still not the United States' #1 geopolitical foe. So Romney said that in 2012. It was untrue then. It remains untrue now. And frankly, if he does run, can you imagine the kinds of ads that the Democrats would run in terms of self-deportation, in terms of the 47%? People have not forgotten about that. And so I think that you know, if Republicans want him to run, then frankly, they're in a much worse position going into the 2016 election than we ever thought. And a second thing that I think Republicans really need to think about, as on a high as they are coming out of the midterm elections, let's really put this in perspective. The midterm electorate was a lot smaller. 36% of Americans came out to vote in the midterm elections, a lot whiter, a lot older. Going into 2016, the electorate is going to be a lot younger, a lot more diverse, a lot more women, and a lot more people are actually going to come out to vote. And that still is an electorate that Republicans have had a hard time trying to figure out how to expand, and I don't think they're in a better place today than they were the day after they lost in 2012.
So most people expect that if Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State, if she runs, she will be the nominee. Let's look at the head-to-heads from the Quinnipiac poll. Lisa, let's talk about these. We've got Romney matching up best against Hillary Clinton, narrowly defeating her 45-44, but you see double-digit undecideds there. Secretary Clinton beats Christie, Paul, Bush, all other Republicans. Who do you think, Lisa, even if, you know, Romney does not get, let's say Romney does not go back in, as Ann Romney has suggested, who has the best chance against Hillary Clinton?
Well, I think we have a deep bench of senators and governors who would be great candidates. But I want to talk about Hillary Clinton. I don't think she's inevitable. In 2008, she was inevitable, and look how well that turned out for her. I think Hillary Clinton has an inability to connect with people and a propensity to offend. I mean, if you take her book tour, for example, she repeatedly stepped in it with comments like, "We were dead broke when we left the White House," and also comments about we're not truly well off. She's got this elitist and out-of-touch attitude that I think completely undercuts and undermines a populist narrative that she's going to try to push. So I don't think Hillary Clinton is a strong candidate. And if you look at the poll that, we're talking about here, Mitt Romney is actually, leading her in the poll, so she can be defeated. And I don't think she's as strong as a candidate as everybody wants to make her out to be.
Maria, Lisa makes a good point. 2 years before the 2008 election, we were all doing Rudy Giuliani v. the Hillary Clinton polls. What about it? Is there a Democrat who you see maybe could be the dark horse, as we saw, Barack Obama, who went on a book tour, and I remember David Gergen says if he's going to run, he's got to run now.
Right. I actually don't see anybody else right now. Having said that, Lisa's nothing is inevitable in politics. We know that a day is a lifetime in politics, and anything can happen. And frankly, as a Hillary Clinton supporter, I hope that we don't see her as inevitable. It didn't work for her in 2008. That is absolutely right. And I actually think that she could be a much better candidate were she to have a primary from the Democratic side. And so I think going into this, though, what we have to remember is that Hillary Clinton has worked her whole life in terms of the issues that are the most important for Americans going into 2016. Issues about the economy, issues about middle-class voters, issues about women and children and girls, and how do you get families to really focus on living a better life in this country. I think hands down going into the 2016 election, Hillary Clinton is the one that will speak best to those kinds of hopes and those kinds of preoccupations that still today Americans wake up worried about. And again, if you pair her up with somebody like Mitt Romney, I think it's hands down the person who middle-class families will see is the person who will fight for them every day and who actually understands what they go through every day, and that person would be Hillary Clinton if she decides to run.
All right, Maria Cardona, Lisa Booth, always good to have you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, guys.